IVM.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 29 of The Fighting G.O.A.T. We are live from the IVM studios in Mumbai. My name is Arjun Chipalkatti, aka Mystic Chips, and I'm here with my partner and host Somesh, the Superhuman Kamra. Woohoo! We've got a great show coming up for you today. Lots to talk about, lots of controversy, lots of boxing, lots of MMA, and lots of masti as always. But before we get to that, let's quickly take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back after these messages.
Hey everybody, it's been a great week on the IVM Podcast Network. On The Wire Talks with Siddharth, retired IAS officer KVS Sidhu shares how heartbreaking and insensitive the Jallianwala Bagh redesign is to the martyrs of the tragedy. On Cyrus Says, Cyrus is joined by Lokesh Verma, founder of Devil's Tattoos and co-founder of Heartbrook Tattoo Festival, to talk about how he came to be known as one of the world's great tattoo artists. On Paisa Vaisa, Anupam is joined by finance veteran Hiren Ved, CEO, Director and CIO of Alchemy Capital Management. He shares his perspective on making long-term investments in Indian equities. On Advertising is Dead with Varun, CEO of Avalon Meta, Varun Maya digs into how he looks at learning and education and why he's bullish on voice. And on Tere Mere Raste, Keshav visits Hanle, India's highest astronomical observatory. Do follow us on social media. We're IVM Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And remember, if you're enjoying this show or any of the shows on the IVM network for that matter, please do tell a friend. We really appreciate that. And finally, I'd like to thank the sponsors on the network this week, Fiat Cred, Banco Baroda, Couture, and CoinSwitch Couture. We really do appreciate the support.
Hello and welcome back to The Fighting G.O.A.T. You're listening to the Mystic Chips and the Superhuman Kamra. How are you, sir?
Very well. It's been a hectic week for everybody. A lot of controversy,
a
lot of good comebacks, a lot of drinks being thrown around. Connor McGregor, Spider Silva, lots of stuff happening.
I think what hurts me more now is the wastage of alcohol. Like, I know it's not a big thing. Big thing for Connor.
Proper 12 is like a home brand. एक दो drink इधर उधर गिर गया तो क्या होता है? There was a proper 12 shot there, right?
It's a proper 12. You know, if you're hearing this corner, the amount of proper, how many times we say proper 12, put the bottle here and we will sponsor that shit for you. I promise.
12 needs to pay us for this, yeah?
Dude, exactly. You want to launch proper 12, it has to come via the Fighting G.O.A.T.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir. Before we get into making proper 12 cocktails, it's a perfect segue to start with Mr. Connor McGregor. His leg is broken. He's been walking around with this pimp cane, which I've been seeing, which he had in the air. That iconic picture with him and Machine Gun Kelly and Megan Fox pushing it away. I don't even know what happened, Somesh, properly. What happened exactly?
Well, you sing proper again. So that's another $10,000 that has to come to us. So
per person,
so many so many versions of it, because initially there were reports that said that Connor went to Machine Gun Kelly for a photograph.
Correct.
And something happened and Machine Gun Kelly kind of shoved him and Connor got angry, threw his drink at Machine Gun Kelly and things just blew out of proportion. But I don't know, because Connor's version and his manager Audie's version is that Connor didn't even go to him for a photo. I don't know whether he went to him for Megan Fox or whatever.
And he probably went to Megan Fox for a photo.
Yeah.
Probably, knowing Connor, he's probably gone to Megan for a photo. Come on, Connor is a big enough star himself. He's worth $500 million, $500 million. He doesn't give a shit. He doesn't give a shit about anybody.
Absolutely. And but when the stakes are so high, rumors just float around. There are so many versions of the same thing.
Yeah, man.
You really cannot say. But what we can say is Connor is truly one of those guys who doesn't mind fighting anytime, any place versus anybody.
Yeah, that he needs to start. I don't know how is his leg. I think it's getting better and better. I hope I think we might see him in a January card coming back.
Hopefully, because he's been fighting the last two Januaries. I'm pretty sure 2022 will be the return of Connor. But in the eyes of an MMA referee or judge, do you think this was a loss or a win for Connor?
See, there's an old saying, man. Any publicity is good publicity. Doesn't matter.
Very true.
And in terms of Connor McGregor, the more relevant he stays, the better it is for the sport, because you can't deny the amount of fans that this guy's brought in. And the amount of fans that this guy will keep bringing in with all his antics and his silliness and his red carpet escapades and his attempts to take pictures with Megan Fox. I'm pretty sure, Audi can hook up a meeting, It's like, hey,
absolutely,
Megan, Connor wants to meet you, hang out. But, let's not say anything, in case D. Devlin listens to our show, we're screwed.
Well, but, there is one thing about Connor. He somehow always stays in the news. He's got that knack, and I don't think he does it purposely. I just feel he's a guy who just is controversial. He's loud.
Dude, he's got Kida. The word is Kida.
He is. Yes. He's got a huge Kida, and anything that, and imagine, he's a drink in one hand, a cane in one hand, and that is dangerous enough to be next to this guy.
Dude, he's Connor is like that one friend who the minute after he's had his fourth drink, he wants to do Kida.
Yeah.
अरे वो देख ना कोई आ रहा है चल उसको उंगली कर दे. He's like that. He's that kind of guy.
So basically, can you imagine if Salman Khan and Connor McGregor just kind of jammed together? Imagine what that outing would be like.
I mean, back in the day, I remember Salman Khan and Shoaib Akhtar.
Let's run over people together.
We're going to get shut down, dude. Don't say that shit. I was going to say that. Remember when Salman Khan used to go for runs and bandstand? He used to do races with Shoaib Akhtar. He used to do 5 a.m. races after drinking with Shoaib Akhtar. So I think they might do the same with Conor McGregor. But
once his leg is better.
Once his leg is better. Of course, we wish him a speedy recovery. And I want to see him fight in the cage, not outside.
Yes.
But coming back to who needs to also come back, there was a lot of news. There was a lot of rumors in the news about our very own former name, I would still say pound for pound fighter in the world, John Jones. He's been training, and now it's been. Somesh, you're our fact checker and historian. When did he last fight, man? I think he fought. He won a narrow split decision to Dominic Reyes back when Reyes fought for the belt before he lost to Jan and
2018. That was.
It's been before the pandemic, right? It was way before the pandemic.
Yeah, it was 2018 is what I believe.
2021. He's taken a 2.5 year break.
Oh man, that is
almost 3 year break.
Almost 3 year break.
3 year break. I mean, a lot of people, a lot of experts, a lot of people around the world, other fighters as well, are saying one simple thing is that I just hope that Jones doesn't wait too long, because you might be losing your prime.
Well, he may even go out of relevance, to be honest.
Come on. I mean, look at the number of superstars that are coming up today.
Sorry, it was 2020. His last fight versus Dominic Reyes. 2020.
2020. So Jan 2020, basically.
Feb 2020.
Before the world went to shit.
Yes.
So yeah, Feb 2020. 2021. Okay, it's fine. It's been a year and a half.
Yeah, it's been a year and a half, but somehow for John Jones, who's always been there, it just seems like a very long break,
It's very long. I mean, it's a long
just
time.
Like his reach,
Yeah, man. John is incredible. And he says he's waiting for a title shot. I'm like, come on, Dana, just give him the bloody title shot. Yeah. It's John Jones.
But I guess John is one of those guys who's always been tussling with the bosses at the UFC. I mean, even though he's one of the greatest athletes to have ever graced the octagon, and there's no denying that because his talent shows that. But he's never been friendly with Dana and the bosses at the UFC. Like how Connor is very friendly with them and they do work together. This guy is a little bit, he wants to do it on his terms, and some of them are like, 10 million is too less and stuff, so they always get into that conversation.
No, but the thing is that a lot of people said that they agree with Jones. I mean, Jones has nothing left to prove, man. He's undefeated.
Absolutely.
He's done things in spectacular fashion. He's defeated. He's hung around. He's had some 12 defenses as champion.
Right.
He's had he's had a historic run at light heavyweight. He changed the landscape of that light heavyweight division.
Absolutely.
And you got to give it to him. So if he's moving up to weight classes, I think if he's moving up a weight class to make his last run in his fighting career, give it to him, man. Give him the money, or give him, okay, ठीक है, 10 million mat do, ठीक है, 7 million de do.
No, but in fact, he said that, the 10 million is too less. So it's somehow
10 million maybe less. But compared to what the guys in boxing are making, I mean, that's ridiculous. I mean, I'm pretty sure Anderson Silva made bank yesterday.
Correct.
After knocking out Tito Ortiz.
Right, and that definitely was something that we had to mention in the week that was, because the greatest of all time in mixed martial arts at 46 has moved on
47,
to
47,
47, and he's moved on to boxing, and man, what a splendid performance. What a splendid performance.
It's just something to see. People online like, oh, he fought Tito Ortiz. I'm like, it's not about, it's the simplest. I'll give you one answer, which is the biggest cricket analogy that I heard Ravi Shastri saying once on the air. Like, It doesn't matter, bhai, full toss, half volley mila, you still have to hit it.
Exactly.
You still have to hit. People have gotten bold on a full toss also.
Tito is no joke out there. Tito is a monster. And speaking of monster, man, there was Evander Holyfield that took on Vitor Belfort in a boxing match.
Holyfield was, I don't even, firstly, hang on. It's a shame that he got sanctioned. The commissioners of California and California said he looked at Holyfield's attempt to get sanctioned and he just shut it down. It's only in Florida. I don't know what the commissioners in Florida saw that they allowed that fight to happen. He's 60 years old. From his interview, he was slurring. He had issues talking. Come on, how can you, in your right mind, how can you sanction this? And against somebody who's like a killer like Vitor.
But what happens typically if you see someone like a Mike Tyson who has come back successfully and had, a good run. Sometimes you obviously have that kida in you and say, listen, I'm somebody who's beaten Mike Tyson. Why can't I come back? Why can't I make that run? Why can't I make that walk again one more time?
But the thing is that Mike Tyson is still in great shape. Mike Tyson was in incredible shape and Mike Tyson didn't take this fight on 5 days notice.
Right.
How can you sanction somebody on 5 days? Train 3 months and then come, no problem.
Oh, right.
Don't take this fight on 5 days notice. It's not right. It's not right for you. It's not right for your opponent. It's not right for the fans. And more importantly, it is the amount of stress that the commission will get now, because the people who sanctioned your license to fight are the ones to blame, to be honest.
Very true.
Because it's not right, man. Firstly, you're 60. You're 58 years old. You've not fought in 2 decades. And you're not getting sanctioned by other boxing commissions.
Right. So there are definitely some loopholes out here.
Yeah, there are. And this is, this is the shitty part of, it's, I don't know whether it's shitty or not. Boxing has eventually became a dirty sport where there was a lot of bribery, there was a lot of corruption. And shit like this, is, can you imagine somebody like Vitor? Vitor, poor chap, he clearly didn't understand what an exhibition match is.
Yeah, in fact, I was coming to that. Wasn't it supposed to be an exhibition match?
Yes. Exhibition matches are,
it
are
was
just
supposed
like
to be
pitter-patter punches, and you're not going after the champ, It's not like fucking Rocky versus Drago.
Oh, God.
Go for it, Rock. Go for it. Vitor went mad, dude.
Yeah, but speaking of going mad, we're going to be taking a short break, and on the other side, we are going to be speaking of great comebacks and the legends who have proven themselves, taken retirement, come back, or had a resurgence in their career. That is after this short commercial break. We'll see you on the other side with a lot of masti and a lot of great information only on the episode 29 of The Fighting GOAT. Stay tuned.
पेश खिदमत है आपकी शान में हमारे अंजुमन से. Hi, I am Sadaf.
And I'm Archit. खाने का इतिहास, economics, policy, psychology, सब है मेन्यू पे.
Only on the Nankali podcast every Wednesday. सिर्फ IVM podcast app या वेबसाइट पर या फिर जहां से भी आप अपने podcast सुनते हो.
Welcome back to episode 29 of The Fighting GOAT. If you've been listening to us, this is Arjun aka Mystic Chips with my buddies Superhuman, Kamra, and we've been talking about all the masti that happened in the week. I'm a happy man. I'm a Team Brazil took home the victories in boxing.
Clearly.
Yeah. And some people took it a little too seriously, like Vitor Belfort.
Maro.
Aisa mara. I got flashbacks to 7th standard. but the
God.
thing is, he called out the one and only Paul brothers. He's like, I don't care which brother, either of the Paul brothers. Jo bhi hai, aao, samne. And
I'm 100% sure he doesn't know their names also.
dude, the funny thing is,
Paul brothers.
Paul brothers. Bolo साथ में together. We'll find them all three.
Yeah.
Triple threat match. Chalega. No, I mean, if that fight happens, he threw out a gauntlet saying that let's make the fight 30 million. 30 million purse.
Ooh.
And I was like, okay, that's a little attractive. But I think mostly, Jake Paul is smart. He's going to fight Tommy Fury, Tyson's, half brother.
Brother. Yeah.
So, I mean, just because, he's a raw young kid doesn't mean his skills are going to be bad.
Absolutely.
He's going to be a killer. Give him time, he'll be a killer. But speaking of killers that came back into the fold, and we always love these Cinderella Man stories where fighters have had a run and then they've gone through a bad slump and have switched organizations, but have come back in a big way.
Right.
And we're going to start this entire list of fighters. But the first one that actually comes to mind, the most prolific one that comes to mind was Robbie Lawler. And who we're going to see Robbie fight next month, at this end of this month at UFC 268, who's coming back to take on a 15-year-old rival
Diaz
against Nick Diaz. I mean, Robbie's comeback was something, Somesh.
Man, it was crazy. It was crazy. In fact, this thing of comebacks is such a beautiful topic because, when you have been at the top, it's very, very difficult to stay at the top. A lot of people say, yes, they want to be number one.
Mm-hmm.
To be honest, becoming number one is not the bigger challenge. Staying number one is where you really need to alter your mentality because that is when the spotlights are on you, the focus is on you, and everybody is gunning for what you have. It could be the money fight, like Connor McGregor, who doesn't have a belt, but still people want to fight him, or it could be the belt. And I always believe there are times where greatness cannot die out. You cannot
that's
take
exactly
out greatness
true.
from a person.
True.
So when we speak of Robbie Lawler, this gentleman was is an absolute murderer. He had a slump. He took some time off. He went out of the UFC, but man, when he came back,
oh my god,
he saw something else altogether.
His nickname is his ruthless Robbie Lawler, and you see it in the way he fights. I mean, Robbie is quintessentially the oldest of old school fighters from that era of fighting where they didn't care if their fingers are broken. They didn't care if I've got 16 fractures on my face. They don't care if, my leg went numb or dead or whatever. They fought through it regardless. And that's why I love referees like, Mazzagatti and Herb Dean and Dan Murgliata who let it go also. Who's like, we know how tough he is. We know how tough Robbie Lawler is. Let him go, let him fight. Because he's going to come back. And one of the most iconic battles of Robbie Lawler's resurgence in his career was Rory Mcdonald. I mean, such a tragedy that he was let go by the UFC. I'm still upset about that. It's the fight against Rory Mcdonald showed, the Robbie Lawler that we saw. Robbie Lawler 2.0 was a far more dangerous, intelligent, meticulous fighter. And you saw the blood and the brutality. I mean, if you're a fan of the Just Bleed era, go watch that fight.
Oh my God.
Rory McDonald versus Robbie Lawler.
In fact, it was Steve Mazzagatti that spoke to us last week, and he said, the one thing common in all great fighters is they tell me in the locker room, let the fight go on. I can take the punishment.
Exactly.
I can do this. I can take the punishment. Do not stop it. And imagine that attitude that, I'm going to beat him. He's going to beat me, but let it go, let it go on. It's just something else. And it's the longest rematch to have ever taken place. The one that's coming up, Nick Diaz versus Robbie Lawler.
God.
Happened in the early 2000s. If I'm not mistaken, it was 2003 or 2004.
Bro, it's been 16 years. It's 16 years in the making.
When Khabib was probably 10 years old and Khabib is retired right now and these two are having a rematch.
It's
my God.
It's a fairy tale come true. And the best thing is we will be live in the Sony studios
And it's a 5-rounder.
And it's a five. Dude, no, hang on. For Nick Diaz, you need to start at 5 rounds. पहले तू लड़ 5 round किसी और के साथ. Then we'll start.
You know, Nick Diaz is still in the good old Pride days where each round is 10 minutes. You know, it starts off with 10 minutes.
Dude, actually, for Diaz's, they should start and do 10-minute rounds.
No, they should only have 10-minute rounds.
They should just do. They should not have breaks only. Tu karte rahe, blood sport till the end now. You got 15 minutes straight.
Oh God.
No, but
yeah,
it's you talk about Robbie with such fond memories. We talk about Robbie's wars. Another man who has come out with the fondest of memories is one of the greatest granddaddies of the sport. The sport would not, the heavyweight division would not be where it is. And the man who says that time is just a number, time has no bearing on fighting, was Randy the Natural Couture.
Oh, Randy the Natural Couture. We cannot talk more or less about Randy Couture because the moment we start speaking about him, it's a whole new episode.
Dude, no, Somesh, we talked about our end of the month episode is called the Legends episode.
Yes.
We've got an episode of Legends in the sport, and we're going to do a special on the legends of the sport. And hopefully, cross our fingers. I mean, if you guys start writing into us and talking to us and winning our merchandise, we might even get these legends on our show.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That itself is so exciting. But
yes,
what is really exciting is someone like Randy Couture who fought in UFC 30, UFC 35.
Yeah, he fought Belfort back then. Like he fought the maniac Belfort back then when there was no testing, nothing.
Yeah, nothing. There was nothing back then. And I clearly remember that Randy Couture had established himself. He had the light heavyweight belt and he had the heavyweight belt. Not simultaneously, but he had both the belts with him. And he hung up his gloves after he lost to Chuck Liddell.
Dude, he was a 2-time light heavyweight champion. He was a 2-time heavyweight champion. And he lost. He retired after his fight against Brock Lesnar. And then he came back with one fun fight against James Toney, and that was the end of it.
That's it. Correct. But what was surprising is that when he retired, he was, 38, 39 years old. He came back at 43 to beat Tim Sylvia to get the heavyweight belt. And
4-year break. 4-year break.
A 4-year break. At that age, and break means complete break. He didn't transition to boxing. He didn't do any of that. He was just out of the sport, and he just woke up one fine day. Like Misha Tate took a 4-year break, and she's come back, and she had a great, fight. So he came back at 43 or 44, and he beat Tim Sylvia.
Dude, he rocked Tim Sylvia in the first round, and Randy wasn't like, and I could hear, I was watching that fight and I could hear my speakers bursting, and Joe Rogan was screaming at the top of his voice, saying, Randy, and he is such a loved champion. He was such a loved fighter, and nobody cared how many losses he had, and nobody cared if he did that. He was a grinding, gritty fighter. Just brought the fight to you.
That's the best part about these guys. People don't care about 20 wins, 2 losses, like someone like a Diaz, it could be 20 wins, 18 losses. But
who gives a shit?
But the fact that they give everything in there for those 15 minutes or 25 minutes is why these people are called legends. And when we speak of legends and comeback, we cannot stress enough on George St. Pierre.
The Rush St. Pierre.
Man.
I'm not the biggest GSP fan around here. I mean, I respect the hell out of the man. He's an amazing, amazing athlete. He was, it's because it actually all started when GSP, and when they talked about GSP versus Anderson Silva's super fight for like a better part of the, since 2008, they've been talking about that fight.
Right.
And since it didn't happen, I was like, everybody, there's no secret that I'm a Brazil team Silva fan forever.
Yeah.
But GSP's greatest, but come on. Somesh, you could agree with me. In that last fight, his last title defense against Johnny Hendricks, a lot of people thought Johnny Hendricks won.
There's all, you see, because there are going to be 3 judges all time. We are watching it on TV. The judges have a certain angle to it. A lot of people even spoke about the fact that Alexander Gustafsson could have beaten John Jones in that fight.
Jones was a little clearer, but GSP lost, and it.
Even
he knew it.
And as a fan, what happens, you want the underdog to win. And after 8, 9, 10 title defenses, you do want this guy to lose. But chala yaar, bus ho gaya, yaar. I'm done. Let me see somebody else out there.
Nah.
So
Silva should have ruled forever. Forever.
Well, Silva at 47 is still ruling. So
he is the greatest of all time.
But speaking of GSP, the man who retired in 2013 completely. And what kind of rumors when he retired? Like, there was a hospital nurse that got pregnant.
No. He got picked up by aliens. He started seeing UFOs in the sky and he got picked up by aliens. I mean, like, come on, GSP is clearly bored.
Yeah.
But the thing is, his pro athlete
the man
level,
who retired at 2013.
Yeah.
And he came back. He came back in 2017 in a different weight class, because he normally fights at welterweight,
which is 170 pounds.
Came back at which is 170 pounds. He came back at 185 and he beat Michael Bisping to again become a belt holder in the UFC. And man, what
it was unbelievable.
I'm saying you cannot take greatness out of a human. There's no chance.
I think one of the boxers, someone has said, I can't pinpoint exactly who. I may have been drunk when I was watching it. Greatness, no matter how brief, always stays with a man.
100%.
No matter how small or how big, will stay with a man. And it's when we talk about, I'm telling you, guys, you cannot miss out on the Legends episode. You guys are going to cry because I'm going to cry for sure.
Yeah.
So when GSP came back, the emotion on his face, stepping into that. But the thing is, he looked better. He looked better.
So good.
After 4 years. So good. And okay, fine. People are like, he's facing somebody like Bisping who's been there for 40 years. Agreed. Yeah. Fine. Maybe he was not facing an Israel Adesanya. Maybe he was not facing a Yoel Romero. That's fine. Yeah. Maybe, but give the man some credit. He won the belt. It was a research.
He's a champion.
He's the champ.
Absolutely. I mean, how can you deny that? He beat a champion to become a champion. Now, a lot of people even speak about the fact that, when Connor beat Eddie Alvarez, it was like a setup match to become the double champ. But
that's not Connor's fault.
Yeah, it's not. It's not
Connor's fault. It should be RDA's fault, who got caught by got cracked by Eddie Alvarez. Yeah. It's not even RDA's fault. It's Eddie Alvarez, man. He beat him. Eddie's a damn good fighter.
Well, he beat him. He beat him fair and square.
Eddie was tailor-made for Connor. Style-wise, Eddie's tailor-made for Connor.
Yes.
Tailor-made.
Yes.
Whereas RDA would have been a tough fight because that grappling angle. Oh man.
Right.
That would have been fun to see. Maybe a fight down the line, but Rafael dos Anjos has got a tough task in front of him with Islam Makhachev now.
Islam Makhachev is next, so
which I think Islam should have been fighting Benil Dariush, but that's a different story altogether.
Yeah.
Coming back to the resurgence topic, though, we move on to somebody else with Somesh that you mentioned is one of us, the current light heavyweight champ, Jan Blahovich. Who was on a 1-4 losing streak, correct me if I'm wrong, took time off outside and came back to be a badass of a champion.
Well, he was in his last 5 fights in that period when he had moved base to San Diego in the United States. He had won 1 fight and lost 4. And this was, I think, in that 2015 to 17 period. And things were just not going his way. But when he moved back to Warsaw in Poland, he has won 9 out of his last 10.
So the change of camp probably led to the resurgence of Jan Blahovich.
Absolutely. And out of that, there were, I think, 4 or 5 performance bonuses. And then he won the championship and then he defended it versus someone like Israel Adesanya. So,
dude, that super fight was incredible. But I think Izzy jumped into it too early in his career. I mean, Izzy's very young. Very, very young.
Right.
And see, everybody wants to see a super fight. Everybody wants to see amazing things. You can't deny the fact that Jan has, nothing replaces experience. Nothing.
Correct.
Nothing. And because the fighters like Jan, have seen it. They've seen losses. They've seen winning. They've seen adversity. And Israel Adesanya, yes, he's a great champion. And he's seen adversity against Kelvin Gastelum as well. He was cracked. He recovered to become a badass and come back. He beat Whittaker. He's taken out everybody in front of him, systematically. But in terms of a super fight, I wish I'd waited another 2 more years,
But
3
what
more
happens?
years.
But what happens with these guys is, when you have seen someone like Connor who's transitioned and fought someone like Floyd,
Connor's mad, yeah.
you always feel that taking these high risk chances could benefit you, because honestly, if he would have beaten Jan, he would have sprung board straight on top. And I feel he's crazy enough to call out John Jones, be it in the heavyweight division or the light heavyweight division. He would have called out
calling
John
each
Jones.
other out. Bro, they were at some point, they were calling out Jones. But after we've recently seen the size of John Jones, there is no way he's going back to that. John is at 245 pounds easily at 245 pounds.
And he's muscular. He's big at 245.
Dude, the kind of lifting the powerlifting he's been doing
is
for
insane.
Strength. John was fucking strong anyway. He was ridiculously strong. And when he had you in that, in the Greco-Roman clinch, like Olympian like Daniel Cormier was ragdolled by Jones.
Was tossed around. And you know what? You always get scared of John Jones because of that elbow coming in.
Dude, you're scared because of his knees and his elbows. And those elbows coming from weird angles. You don't see it coming. And he slices you open. And before you know it, the blood is in your eyes and you're on the floor crying.
Yeah. But when we speak of legends, John Jones is going to be there. But as of now, Jan Blahovich is somebody who's in our focus at the 4th spot, because he deserves to be there. And when we speak of comebacks, it's not just retirement and comeback. It is guys who have renewed their career, changed their mindset, changed their skill set, and they have come back. So that takes us to the next gentleman on my list, who's actually a gentlewoman. I know that she's taken some time off. She's not had the best opponent, but Misha Tate.
Her cupcakes bring all the boys to the yard.
Who definitely took a 4 year. You know what? There's something quite funny, because almost all of these guys that we've spoken about took a 4-year layoff and they came back.
There's something about that 4. Luckily they're not Chinese, which is like 4 is the letter 4 is the sound of sh, which is the same as sh, which is the sound of death, basically. So they all avoid the letter 4. So it's surprising. Maybe 4 is a plus point, is a lucky number for the West.
Absolutely. But 4 is the lucky number, because we have GSP, we had Randy Couture, and now we have Misha Tate.
Wow, that's funny. That's really funny, actually. That's
all of which have taken 4-year layoffs and come back and had successful comebacks.
Misha's still on her way to coming back to that. But I like the fire in her eyes. Her skills have improved drastically. Her hands look so much better. I mean, when we saw her fight against Holly Holm, where she won the belt, she was getting outstruck by Holly, and the only way that she had the advantage was in the grappling. She ended up choking her out and winning the belt. But when she saw her defending it against the champ, I mean, Amanda Nunes was in God mode at that time, and everybody was falling like flies around her. So
there was no touching her.
There still is. The only person who managed to kind of rough her up was Valentina Shevchenko. That's the only one who I believe can still do it. And so Misha Tate, you got to give it to her. She went and faced off against Marion Renaud, who was in her retirement fight, and proved that she was still up there. Albeit a lot of critics said, Marion Renaud is old, she was retiring. So we're going to find out soon enough, because Misha has got her next opponent lined up, and she's in the middle of her resurgence. So we wish her nothing but the best of luck. I think there's something in her eyes. I think she might just capture gold again. You never know.
Absolutely. In fact, it's just in the attitude, because when she came back, she said, I'm just not here to fight. I'm here for that 135-pound belt. So definitely she's gunning for it. I think she has maybe about 2 or 3 years more in this, and hopefully she gets to the top.
She does. She's still young, I think. She's what, 33, 34?
Yeah, 33, 34 now.
She's still okay. She's still got a lot of time. I mean, I think, if fighters are fighting smarter and smarter now. It's not the Wanderlei Silva in your face kind of fighting anymore. Even though that's what people really want to see.
People as in people like Mystic Chips and Superhuman Kamra.
The Diaz's. I would be really upset the day the Diaz's retire. I'd be really.
Yeah, but that's not happening. That's not happening. So
no, not in my lifetime, at least.
So I don't think that's ever happening unless they die or something. No.
Correct. No, they will. They will not. I mean, the guys are ridiculously fit. Have you seen the photo of Nick Diaz? I will never take my shirt off.
Yeah.
I'm never taking my shirt off again. And no, I work in the industry of fighters and it's cool. Whatever. Fighters come in all shapes and sizes. But what we saw Nick's, like his veins had veins.
Yeah, man. He was looking so good. And I just cannot wait for that.
It's gonna be a
Robbie Lawler
great
Nick
fight.
Diaz fight. Yeah.
It's going to be a great fight. And we're going to tease a lot of this in our upcoming segments. We're going to tease a lot of it. So our next few episodes are all going to be full of guests and talking about legends and stuff. So guys, please stay tuned and always listen to us. We are the Fighting Goat.
Absolutely. And that ends this segment of ours. And we are going to take a short commercial break and see you on the other side after these quick messages.
Do you like true crime stories?
Do you like to learn about the people behind some horrible, awful crimes?
More specifically, women that may have committed these crimes.
Actually, Indian criminals that are women?
Then we'd like to welcome you to our podcast, Misconduct. My name is Raghavi.
And I am Nisha.
We cover themes like murder, dacoity, drug trafficking, financial fraud, kidnapping, and many more.
You can catch us every Wednesday on the IVM Podcast Network or wherever you get your podcast.
Welcome back to the Fighting Goat. We've had a great conversation between me, Somesh Kamra. Well, I'm not Somesh Kamra. My partner Somesh Kamra and me, Arjun the Mystic Chips. Galti ho gaya kabhi, ho jata hai, na? Excitement mein and all that. But we've had a great conversation today. We've talked about the amazing resurgence of fighters. They called incredible comebacks of fighters from different parts. Took years of layoff. But speaking of comebacks, in fact, another comeback that's happening we're in the middle of one was Anthony Smith, who's going to be fighting this weekend, Somesh.
Absolutely. Anthony Smith is going to be
Taking
fighting
Ryan
Ryan Spann.
And I remember, if I remember correctly, you chose Ryan Spann, huh?
I did. 100%. I have chosen Ryan Spann for this one. We didn't have the entire fight card with us.
I think the fight card would have been updated now. I think we're about a few days away. We've got a fight card, but that, my friends, is still the main event. It's still a great fight card. It's still a fight to watch out for because it shapes that ever-changing light heavyweight division. Ever since John Jones retired, it's like the market is open for everybody now.
Absolutely.
It's like Geo.
In fact, what is exciting?
It's like Reliance stepping out of the telecom market. Okay, that's a bit of a low blow. A little risky show today, I must say. इसके बाद कोई फोन आने वाला है हम लोग को.
Well, अगर फोन आएगा, we have no problem. We'll just negotiate some sponsorship terms and we'll make do with it.
Geo, we love Geo. I'm using Geo only. तो क्या त्रास है?
This episode is brought to you by Geo Dhandhanathan.
Geo Zindagi. See, are you hearing this, Mr. Ambani? Look in here. We've already done better branding.
Yeah. Well, but when we speak of better branding, the co-main event of the next fight card is an interesting one in the light heavyweight division between Ion Cutelaba and Devin Clark.
Oh my God, Ion Cutelaba is fighting again?
Yes,
Ion
Cutelaba is back.
Who runs across the ring to stare you down and then runs back.
Yeah.
and then sadly got knocked out, by,
Well, yeah.
Well, I think it was Chimaev, right? Who beat him?
Oh, yes.
No,
yes,
hang on. No, was that a middleweight? No, that was not Chimaev. Sorry.
I think it was Nikita Krylov beat him, or
I think Nikita Krylov beat him last. But who did he have a rematch with twice? We need to check that again.
Was it Magomed?
Ankalev, yes.
Ankalev, yeah.
Yes. I remember that fight. He lost twice.
When he's moving like this, and the referee thought he's a little dazed, and then he stopped it, and he's like, "Oh no, I'm absolutely fine."
I remember that.
Sometimes showboating and antics don't work.
But he drew a draw against Dustin Jacoby as well. So he's still a great fighter, and
he got knocked out by Ankalev after that.
Yeah, but the thing is that he's still a great fighter, and he's still a wild card. No matter what.
Undoubtedly.
He's a wild mofo. And he's going to come in swinging and take your head off.
Undoubtedly, and the good part about this card is that the co-main and the main event is in the light heavyweight division. So the moment you have these big guys in a 25-foot octagon, it just changes.
It's at the Apex?
It's at the Apex. So it's a 25-foot smaller octagon, and it's going to be a cracker. So we had predicted last time the main event of the evening. We didn't have the other fight card set, but the co-main event is in the light heavyweight division between Ion Cutelaba and Devin Clark. It's gonna be a banger.
It's gonna
Mystic
be a banger.
Chips, do you want to switch?
No. I am
main event.
Dude,
You're still with Anthony Smith?
I'm with Anthony Smith and I'm with Ion Cutelaba.
Very interesting. So last week in the prediction game, I had chosen Ryan Spann. I'm going to be sticking with Ryan Spann, but this time I'm going to be in the same boat as Mystic Chips. I'm going to be going for Ion Cutelaba in the light heavyweight. However, you guys can check out the fight card, make your predictions, tag us, hashtag us, and get a chance. I know, tag us, man, guys. Come on, don't be bold.
This is lazy. At least. Oh, by the way, big shout out to my buddy Arjun Siva, who wrote to us about his picks. He had some amazing picks on. He sent us his picks on the Fighting G.O.A.T on our Instagram profile, and he made his picks, and he is going to be the recipient of the Fighting G.O.A.T merchandise. We're not going to tell you what. It's going to be a surprise, Siva. So it's coming to you. He's from Chennai, and he's been a big fan, and he's a big Brock Lesnar fan as well.
Absolutely. Who is not a Brock Lesnar fan? Speaking of that, we've made our predictions. Guys, you just pick up that mobile phone, make your predictions, tag us, hashtag us on the Fighting G.O.A.T on Instagram, tag IVM Podcast on all social media platforms, tag Mystic Chips.
Yes, sir. You can reach me on my Facebook. I don't use much, but Instagram is at Mystic Chip. Is at Arjun Chips, and my Twitter is at the Mystic Chips. Sorry, I get confused sometimes.
That is so awesome.
And you, Mr. Kamra?
That's okay. You can get me on Instagram, somesh.kamra, and on Twitter is somesh_kamra. So guys, what are you waiting for? Get a chance to win some exciting prizes. Tag us, hashtag us. Let's have some fun and let's grow the sport together.
Absolutely. Guys, come together. Please tag us. Don't forget to reach out to us. We're going to have these competitions and contests every weekend. And write to us about who you think had the best comeback, had the best resurgence. And if it matches one of us, that's great. You're going to get a free t-shirt. You're going to get free keychains. You're going to get something. So listen to us at all times.
Absolutely. Speaking to listen to us, you have to catch next week's episode. We have a surprise guest that is coming. He is a former Strikeforce champion and a TUF veteran. So he's coming on the show next. I'm not going to give his name because you need to follow us. You need to follow the Fighting G.O.A.T, Mystic Chips, and Somesh Kamra to get more information on this. But he is going to be with us in an exclusive conversation. Until next time, keep hearing more shows on IVM Podcast. Lock in, like us, share us, do everything, and stay tuned to the Fighting G.O.A.T for some exciting MMA boxing combat content. See you same time next week. Till then, stay safe, stay happy, and please get jabbed if you haven't. And just stay safe. Thank you.
Come learn and experience the ABCDs of being queer with me, Shunetro,
and me, Farhad,
on our show, Gay BCD.
The two of us take you through our stories and experiences of being gay men in the city of Mumbai and have candid
and sometimes downright scandalous
conversations about sexuality, gay culture, and everything in between.
Catch new episodes of Gay BCD every Tuesday on the IVM Podcast website, app, or wherever you get all your podcasts from.
Eventually, you'll see the end of your childhood.
Get accustomed to womanhood.
Enjoy the experience of sisterhood.
Might get to wifehood.
Or not. Choose motherhood.
Or not. You'll learn to define your personhood.
Earn a livelihood.
Change the neighborhood.
And get rid of the falsehood that life post-academia is easy.
So join me, Natasha.
And me, Ayushi.
On a journey from station starting point.
To station, what now?
Next station, Pudin station. And hopefully, Agla station, adulthood.
Fresh episodes out every Thursday.